Number 10, Tom Cruise. Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise may seem like they have a lot in common at first glance, but they couldn't be more at odds with each other. Yet, allegedly, they have been feuding for 25 years, and it all started in 1994's Interview with a Vampire. The hit horror movie where both actors had starring roles really ignited their resentment for one another, and even though the film was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe upon its release, Brad said that he was miserable during the entire filming, and that Tom being there certainly didn't help. And when asked about his co-star in an interview, Brad did not bother to hold back his feelings at all. Quote, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming when I started really resenting him. He's North Pole, I'm South. He's always coming at you with a handshake, whereas I may bump into you. There was this underlying competition that got in the way of any real conversation." Fast forward to 2009, when both actors were starring in World War II dramas, Brad in the very successful Inglourious Basterds and Tom Cruise in Valkyrie, which was a critical flop. So much so that Brad even called Valkyrie a ridiculous movie, which goes to show you that the rivalry was still there. Number 9, Marion Cotillard. In 2016, Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard were co-stars in a film called Allied, which is a Second World War romantic drama where Brad played Max, a handsome intelligence agent who has an affair with a French resistance fighter called Marianne. As good as the film might have been, it was certainly overshadowed by the rumors that plagued the set, in particular the closeness between Brad and his leading lady. In fact, a source close to Brad and Angelina at the time claimed that the actress was so jealous of Marion that she refused to meet with the French star after meeting her on the set of the film, telling the Daily Mail, quote, "Angelina completely ignored Marion on the set, and when Marion tried to talk to her, she just looked away. Marion was devastated. Here she is thinking she's going to meet this great UN ambassador, and instead Angelina refuses to speak to the woman because of her own jealousy." In fact, Angelina reportedly hired a private investigator to watch the two actors on set and scout out a possible affair. And although none of this was Marion's fault, it's unlikely that Brad, who's now dating again, would work with the French actress again, considering how much scandal it brought to his own marriage with Angelina. Number 8, Harrison Ford. Ford and Pitt both starred in 1997's The Devil's Own, which had reportedly faced endless problems during production. One of the biggest being that allegedly the two leads didn't get along. Conflict off the screen erupted when Pitt told Newsweek magazine that the film was, quote, "the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking, if you can call it that I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it." Reports surfaced that the two co-stars disagreed on which character should be at the center of the film, but the alleged feud between Ford and Pitt may have just been an argument over the script, as Larry Gordon, the producer of Devil's Own, came out saying, "I never saw two men not getting along. The discussions were over the script, and every movie is a work in progress." And even Indiana Jones star himself didn't seem too upset by the comments, and even suggested that Brad simply went on a rant about the film and didn't realize that he was going to be quoted throwing it under the bus. But Ford made it clear that the only thing he didn't appreciate was the fact that people were asking more questions about the working relationship between the two actors rather than the film itself. Number 7, Shia LaBeouf. Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf starred in the 2014 war film Fury. While the movie received glowing reviews from both critics and fans, reportedly the two actors didn't get along when filming the gritty action film. Shia LaBeouf has a reputation in Hollywood as being extremely difficult to work with, and that was true with Fury as well. Reportedly, Shia was so committed to doing justice to the character of Boyd Swan that he had his front tooth removed and went for days without bathing or showering. Additionally, reports claim that Shia didn't believe that the makeup used for his facial scarring was realistic enough, so he actually cut his own face to make his war wounds look more realistic. And then during filming, he would occasionally open the wounds to keep them looking more fresh and authentic. It's clear that he was determined to make an impression, but this allegedly rubbed Brad Pitt the wrong way. And according to Ranker, Pitt was disappointed by Shia's energy on set of their film and believed that the two of them have very different styles of working, and it just wasn't mixing well on a personal level, as he allegedly felt uncomfortable seeing how much torture Shia would put himself through just to get results. Number 6, Jennifer Aniston. The story that dominated the tabloids in the 2000s was just as scandalous as it was made out to be. Jen and Brad got married in 2000 in a lavish Malibu wedding, and things were perfect for the Hollywood it couple until they suddenly announced their divorce in 2005. 2005. What happened exactly? Well, long story short is that Brad met Angelina for the first time on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Brad famously embarked on a jet-setting romance with her despite the fact that he was still married to Jennifer. Although all parties denied that there was infidelity involved, Angelina couldn't help but gush to the papers about her new romance, and Jennifer told Vogue in 2008 that she had in fact read some of those interviews, and according to her, quote, "There was stuff printed in there that was definitely from a time when I was unaware that it was happening, and I felt those details were a little inappropriate to discuss." That stuff about how she couldn't wait to get to work every day. Not cool. Although they might be on good terms now, there's certainly a reason that Brad avoided having Jennifer in any of his films, and it probably has a lot to do with their past. Number 5, Mark Canton. Harrison Ford wasn't the only person that Brad Pitt bumped heads with during the filming of 1997's The Devil's Own. In fact, not long after the filming wrapped, news also surfaced that Pitt had wanted out of the film that he felt was doomed. But it was Mark Canton, the head of Columbia Pictures, that threatened him with a $63 million lawsuit if he went through with the walkout. So of course Pitt was kind of trapped, but he let his frustration out in that controversial interview in Newsweek magazine ahead of the film's release. Apart from calling the movie the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking, he said, quote, "I don't know why anyone would want to continue making that movie. We had nothing. The movie was the complete victim of this drowning studio head who said, 'I don't care, we're making it. I don't care what you have, shoot something.' If that wasn't enough, Pitt even said that they had no script, and it was a lot of pressure on himself and Harrison Ford just to make it all up as they went along." So clearly he resents Canton for putting him in that kind of situation in the first place. Number 4, Odile Soudant. The famous French designer who was once a friend or acquaintance of Brad Pitt's ended up suing the couple in 2017 over the lighting in their Chateau Miraval home. The Guardian reported that Soudant claimed that the former couple simply stopped paying for her work that she did on 4 buildings of their 40-room mansion in France, while the designer insisted that she had no written contract specifically with Pitt or Jolie. She claims that he gave her the green light to do whatever she wanted in order to make their home beautiful. She took him literally at his word and hired architects, designers, lighting and acoustic specialists, and even an optical engineer to calculate the angle of the sun's rays on the chateau. The trouble started growing when Soudant noticed that Pitt and Jolie stopped paying for her estimated $29 million project after her billings reached approximately $6 million, and Pitt emailed her saying, "I don't know how things happen in France, but in the United States, friends don't attack friends. I've been nothing but a fan of your work. Do not attack. Let's finish the project and be proud of it." But by August of 2017, the former couple were ordered to pay her roughly $674,000, including about $71,000 for damaging her reputation. Number 3, Michael Madsen. In 1991, Pitt and Michael Madsen both appeared in the 90s feminist classic Thelma and Louise, and right away the two seemed to butt heads in a major way, and Madsen made no secret of how much he dislikes Pitt, but the beef between the actors goes way deeper than just trouble on the set of the film. In fact, they have both worked with along. So clearly he resents Canton for putting him in that kind of situation in the first place. Number 2, Mark Forster. The fact that World War Z managed to do okay at the box office is literally a miracle when you consider how massive the feud was between its star Brad Pitt and its director Mark Forster, making it one of the most infamously troubled shoots of any blockbuster from the last decade. Pitt starred as a UN worker, Jerry Lane, who searches the globe for information that can stop the zombie outbreak that is bringing down nations. But on the set was total chaos. Vulture reported that Pitt eventually stopped speaking altogether to Forster, and that the director's notes for him were being given through a rotation of 3 different production members. That's right, they hated each other so much that they couldn't even speak to each other face to face. But the situation was further complicated by Pitt's status as a producer, giving him authority to challenge Forster's creative calls and causing the post-production process to be dragged out by their conflicting visions. And when the studio chiefs ordered reshoots of the film, the apparent breakdown in the duo's relationship just made that progress extremely problematic. And coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie. They were once Hollywood's glittering power couple, but for the last 5.5 years, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have been very publicly airing out their dirty laundry in one of the messiest and most expensive divorce battles of all time. It was a shock to the world when the Tomb Raider actress Angelina Jolie filed for divorce from Pitt in September of 2016, just 2 years after they wed and 12 years into their partnership. Citing irreconcilable differences, Angelina requested sole physical custody of their 6 children, and the following month, she made a threat to take the children abroad despite a renegotiated custody agreement. The actress even took a swipe at him in Harper's Bazaar, saying, "I would love to live abroad and will do so as soon as my children are 18, but right now I'm having to base where their father chooses to live." In fact, it was recently reported that Brad is suing Angelina for allegedly secretly selling the couple's $116 million winery just to spite him. Although the once golden couple worked together on the iconic spy movie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's unlikely these two will ever share the big screen ever again.
Number 10, Lady Gaga. The Maroon 5 frontman seems to have a lot of feuds with female artists, especially ones that you wouldn't expect, like Lady Gaga. Adam criticized her music in 2011 when he tweeted, "Lady Gaga took Vogue and Express Yourself and put them in a blender. The result? Born This Way." Then only 2 years later, he slammed her creative choices when she dropped her Applause music video from Art Pop, which referenced several major works of art throughout history. Adam wrote, "Ugh, recycling old art for a younger generation doesn't make you an artist, it makes you an art teacher. I unabashedly love writing and performing pop music for both myself and everyone around me. That's it. It doesn't need any extra sauce." Gaga hilariously responded, tweeting, "Uh-oh guys, the art police is here." Adam then wrote, "By the way, I'm not an artist, I sing in a band and I make music with my friends. Methinks thou dost protest too much. Yikes. While we're at it, we should call the grammar police." Loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9, Emily Ratajkowski. The model and actress straight up called Adam Levine a prick while sharing her thoughts about the cheating scandal, just hours after he publicly denied the affair. Emily said, "I don't understand why we continue to blame women for men's mistakes, especially when you're talking about 20-something-year-old women dealing with men in positions of power who are twice their age. The power dynamic is so skewed, it's ridiculous. Like, it's it's manipulative, I can't imagine." In a second post, the 31-year-old followed it up with, "I think a huge problem in our culture right now is we say, oh, men are monsters, they're terrible, they're horrible. Then we don't hold them accountable. We blame other women and ask women to adjust their behavior, instead of just saying that men need to change their behavior. It's sexism, it's classic misogyny." The actress actually filed for divorce earlier this month from her film producer husband, Sebastian Bear-McLeod, after 4 years of marriage, following reports that he was unfaithful as well. So Emily is clearly talking from experience here. Number 8, Lindsay Lohan. Chaos erupted in Hollywood when Lindsay Lohan's infamous sex list was leaked to In Touch Weekly. Adam Levine then went on Howard Stern and denied sleeping with the actress, even though his name appears on the list. The singer was following in the footsteps of Terry Richardson and James Franco, who also appeared on that same list and publicly denied sleeping with her too. Howard asked Adam, "So you don't know Lindsay Lohan?" To which he replied very clearly, "I did not have sexual intercourse with Lindsay Lohan." Then he decided to throw her under the bus completely when Howard asked who did sleep with her, to which Adam said, "A lot of people probably did, I don't know." That last part was both unnecessary and hurtful, but what it comes down to though is that no one except Lindsay and the men on the list will ever know the truth. And while she admitted that the list was real by saying it was a step of her AA program, she didn't explicitly say it was a sex list, so we'll never really know for sure. Number 7, Christina Aguilera. In 2012, Adam started a beef with his fellow coach on The Voice and used a contestant called Tony Luca to antagonize her. The feud culminated with Tony's performance of 99 Problems, which Adam insisted on because he knew it would make Christina uncomfortable. He was right, and she got so offended by the song choice that she told him, "Your beautiful wife and your daughter and family are here tonight, and I just thought the lyrical connotation was a little derogatory towards women." Weeks later, a source told Radar Online that Adam went right up to Christina and called her the C word, to which she responded by demanding that he should be fired. Quote, "She's sick of being treated this way. Christina is so sick of Adam being looked at as the golden boy of the show. If America knew how disgusting he was, they would be appalled." Another insider said that the feud was constant and that the singer preyed on her in subtle and often passive-aggressive ways to deliberately try and set her off. Number 6, David Draymond. The Maroon 5 singer recently got himself himself into hot water after getting embroiled in a sexting scandal involving flirtatious messages he allegedly sent to several women. But if that wasn't bad enough, just a few days ago it was revealed that he believes that hot women do not listen to metal. This questionable opinion was uncovered when a screenshot of the singer's messages were leaked online. Adam was talking to a woman called Alison Rosef, who said that she listens to metal. In response to that, he wrote, "Said no hot chick ever other than you." The comment angered a large group of metal fans, especially David Draymond, who is the lead singer of the band Disturbed. David took to his Twitter to defend his subculture and wrote, "I don't know Adam Levine, I think my wife is pretty damn hot, and so do a lot of other people, and she likes metal. You need to improve your DM game, bud." So not only were his comments very ignorant and stupid, but they were also just flat out wrong. Number 5. Sarah Foster. The actress shared a video on TikTok where she slammed both Adam and Sumner for their involvement in the year-long affair. She said, "He's obviously a total pig and gross, but this woman who chose to make a viral TikTok video, not even apologizing, but putting it out there for the world to see, for a pregnant woman to see, when she could have just messaged her privately, claiming it's not her fault or something." She went on to say that we don't feel sorry for you. You knew this man was married and you participated. You could have easily ignored the messages. You knew he was married. We do not feel sorry for you. As women, we need to do better. The married man is being a pig and reaching out to you. You hopefully have been raised well enough to be like, "No, sorry, you're married, I can't engage." This chick is giving women a very bad name. But not a lot of people were happy with her commentary because they felt that she focused too much on Sumner instead of pointing out Adam's wrongs. Number 4. Corey Taylor. When Adam was asked by Variety if he considered Maroon 5 to be a pop, rock, or urban band, he replied, "Something unique to this band is that we have always looked to hip-hop, R&B, all rhythmic forms of music, from back when we were writing our first album to now. Rock music is nowhere really. I don't know where it is. If it's around, no one's invited me to the party. All of the innovation and the incredible things happening in music are in hip-hop. It's better than everything else." But when Slipknot's Corey Taylor caught wind of his comments, the rocker went off on him and tweeted, "Just because you claim to have moves like Jagger doesn't mean you come anywhere close to rocking like Jagger. Tell that schmuck to go back to the effing voice." Adam also divided fans by saying that there are no rock bands anymore and calling them a dying breed, which clearly angered quite a few people. Number 3. Sebastian Bach. The rock legend has been feuding with the Maroon 5 frontman ever since he gave that interview with Variety magazine, where he said, "Rock music is nowhere really. I don't know where it is. If it's around, no one's invited me to the party." Sebastian responded on Twitter saying, "Rock music is nowhere, but when you want your team to win The Voice, you chose the song I Remember You. You're welcome." He also slammed Adam's Super Bowl halftime show performance in 2019, tweeting, "Whatever he was trying to do on stage tonight is way more dead than rock will ever be." The Skid Row singer was not the only one to jump on the hate train. Dee Snider from Twisted Sister wrote, "Hey Adam Levine, I hear you're having a lot of trouble getting hip-hop artists to join you for the Super Bowl. You should reach out to your friends in the rock community." Oh wait, never mind. So clearly no one is going to forget those controversial comments that he made about rock. Number 2. Chrishell Stause. The outspoken actress was less than impressed with the whole Adam Levine scandal. Selling Sunset star Chrishell brilliantly called out the singer for his so-called apology for cheating on his wife Bahati. She tweeted, "When apologizing for cheating publicly, I hate the whole 'we will get through it together' part from a man. Don't speak to her, you've done enough." Most of the Twitter users in her replies agreed and cheered her on for speaking out. However, writer Jimmy Traynor tried to argue that while Adam was guilty of crossing a line, he technically didn't cheat. In response, Rochelle left a series of facepalm and laughing emojis. Unfortunately, the 41-year-old is no stranger to having relationship drama play out in the public eye. In 2019, she was blindsided by then-husband Justin Hartley filing for divorce as he quickly got remarried to Sophia Pernaz. Chrishell implied that this meant that he had been cheating on her throughout their relationship, and that she only found out after the divorce. And coming in at number 1, Blake Shelton. Adam just couldn't resist the urge to take a jab at his former voice coaching rival Blake Shelton on his Instagram story. The Maroon 5 singer decided to address all sorts of burning questions from fans, including some about his time on The Voice. But soon it became clear that Adam did not exactly have fond memories working with Blake. When one fan asked whether or not he missed him, Adam responded by saying, "Blake who?" And when another fan asked him to name his favorite of Blake's albums, he said, "Who is this Blake you speak of?" The latest example of this conflict came during a Maroon 5 concert last year, as one fan captured the shocking moment that Adam leaned over, directly looked into the camera and said, "Hey Blake, F you, we sold more tickets," and then started to scream as the fans cheered. So it seems like he still has a bit of resentment and rivalry towards his former co-host. So I couldn't imagine that Blake would be jumping at the opportunity to work with him again.
At number 10, we have David Letterman. When Madonna appeared on the Late Night Show with David in 1994, the star was so obnoxious she showed that she had a lack of sensitivity for intelligence throughout the show. Madonna would go on to say the F word around 14 times. The star's language and overall behavior even resulted to the point where she had to be asked to even leave the stage. However, instead of leaving, she would then give David a pair of her undergarments, and then she would refuse to leave the stage. The star then would later claim that her disastrous behavior and appearance was a way of her protesting against television censorship. I can definitely understand why David was so uncomfortable with the situation, and I don't blame him for never wanting to work with the pop star again. At number 9, we have Mark Wahlberg. Madonna almost once cost Mark his breakthrough role. In the early 90s, Mark was just coming off of his rap career and he started to pursue a career in film. However, before getting his breakthrough role in the film Renaissance Man, Mark ran into some trouble when he got into an altercation with people who were very well connected to Madonna. When the altercation broke out, Mark noted that Madonna would go on to call the cops, and she continued to tell everybody stories about the event and what Mark was doing. Now, Mark claimed Madonna's claims were not true, and luckily Mark's film producer, Penny Marshall, would continue to support him. Mark explained when he got the call from the producer asking what he did, and how she ultimately decided to give him the role despite the rumors. I mean, sometimes it's better just to keep yourself out of other celebrities' feuds, but this pop icon is never shy to stick her nose into somewhere she shouldn't be sticking it. So it makes sense why Mark would want to stay as far away from Madonna as possible. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Elton John. In 2002, when Madonna released her song Die Another Day, it ultimately became the theme song for the James Bond movie. However, Elton John would later come out to say it was the worst theme song for a Bond movie, and that was just the beginning to their brawl, as this feud was destined to go on for years. Now, Elton would add fuel to the fire by criticizing Madonna for being nominated Best Live Act. Elton would go on to say that Madonna lip syncs in public shows and anybody who doesn't perform live should just be punished. And Elton wouldn't stop there. He once took things further in an interview with Channel 7 Australia when he said Madonna's tour was a complete disaster, and that after he watched it, he even questioned the star's common sense. The stars would later end their feud, and Elton's partner would come out to say that they didn't believe in bringing negativity into the world and that they were both embarrassed about everything they ever said about Madonna. At number 7, we have Lady Gaga. So the feud between Lady Gaga and Madonna started back in 2011 when Gaga released Born This Way. Now, Madonna immediately drew comparisons from her song Express Yourself. In an interview with ABC News, Madonna would go on to say that Gaga referenced her a lot in her work and she found it amusing and flattering. Lady Gaga, however, would come out to say, if you put the songs next to each other side by side, the only similarities are the chord progression. It's the same one that's been used in disco music for the last 50 years. The star then went on to say just because she's the first artist in 25 years to put it in the top 40 radio doesn't mean she's a plagiarist. Now, these two pop divas are definitely iconic in their own ways, but whose team are you on? Team Madonna or Team Lady Gaga? Personally, I'm more of a Lady Gaga fan myself. At number 6, we have Janet Jackson. Now, Janet and Madonna are both major celebrities that haven't always said nice things about each other. Janet's and Madonna's beef allegedly all started when Madonna attempted to date Janet's brother Michael in the early 90s. In the book You Are Not Alone, Michael, Through a Brother's Eye, Michael's brother wrote that he sincerely thought Madonna adored Michael. However, the feeling wasn't mutual. When out for dinner one night, Madonna made a terrible mistake when she decided to criticize Janet. Michael was ultimately left feeling furious and never went on another date with the pop star ever again. In 1994, Janet told Vibe that she could never hate Madonna, as hate is a strong word. However, the pop star dissed her and she was mystified by it, considering the two never met in person. The feud would then become a classic example that if you have nothing to say, don't say it at all, because you never know when someone's fan family member might tell them what you said about them while you were enjoying a bite to eat. At number 5, we have Patti LuPone. After meeting Madonna, Patti was asked about what she thought about the movie the star was starring in. Patti then went on to describe Madonna as a movie bummer, as there's no lights behind her eyes when she's acting. Patti then went to say that Madonna can't act her way through a paper bag, before saying the pop star shouldn't be on stage or in a film. Now, Patti did say that the performer is amazing in her music career, however, she's not an actress. The actor then would shade Madonna years later after she said Madonna is Madonna, and I'll leave it at that. So it's not uncommon for actors to make a list of actors and performers they'll never want to work with or work with again. And if Patti really hated Madonna's performance as much as she said, you definitely won't see these two acting together anytime soon. At number 4, we have Mariah Carey. In 1996, Madonna would slam Mariah Carey, igniting a feud between the two stars. Madonna would say that Mariah's music wasn't art, and then later when MTV asked Mariah how she felt about Madonna's comment, the star would go on to say that she hasn't really paid attention to her since she was in 7th or 8th grade, when she used to be popular. Carey then noted that the star no longer was popular, and that's probably why she never heard anything about the star dissing her. During an interview in 1998, Mariah would double down on her comments when she was asked about her thoughts on Madonna, and she went on to say growing up she really liked her first album and said that the album was really popular. She then went on to say the pop star did good, however, several times throughout that interview, Mariah can be seen mocking Madonna by using a fake British accent. At number 3, we have Cher. Now, Cher and Madonna are two of the biggest names in pop music history, and although the two have such a great deal in common, they have a real love-hate relationship. In 1991, Cher was loud and clear about her opinion of Madonna while in an interview with CBS. Cher would highlight the star was straight up mean and rude, and that there was something she didn't like about her. The star said that she hung out with Madonna a couple of times and she was just rude to everybody, and the star acted like a spoiled brat all the time. Cher would also state that in an interview on a talk show Wogan that Madonna was unbelievably creative because she's not unbelievably talented. She also noted that the star was not beautiful and that she was rude. Although Cher has made it clear that she isn't fond of Madonna, she's also said that she does respect her as an artist. At number 2, we have Sandra Bernhard. In the early 90s, comedian Sandra and Madonna were actually best friends. They even appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman together. However, something would then later happen and the two would end their friendship. Now, Sandra and Madonna have never really opened up to what actually happened between them for their friendship to dissolve. However, that hasn't stopped Sandra from being vocal about her evolving distaste as a person. Sandra once said on .429 that the two used to be best friends but they no longer speak anymore. The star then went on to say that she keeps her friends her whole life, but Madonna doesn't feel the same way. However, it has been said that the reason Madonna and Sandra fell out is because Madonna stole Sandra's girlfriend from her and the star felt betrayed. Now, if that is the case, Madonna broke girl codes, and I can see why Sandra would dislike her former best friend. That type of betrayal is just next level. At number 1, we have Drake. So remember when Madonna kissed Drake at Coachella, leaving us feeling queasy and uncomfortable? And what added more heat to the fire is when the cameras caught him looking shocked with a disgusted look. Now, Drake's horrified reaction to Madonna making out with him on stage would cause a media storm of allegations. Now, Drake finally did come out to reveal he actually enjoyed kissing the star by saying, "Don't misinterpret my shock. I got to make out with the Queen Madonna and I feel 100 about that and forever thank you, Madonna." TMZ would then later report that Drake's reaction was due to an unpleasant taste of Madonna's lipstick rather than the kiss itself. However, none of us really bought that. And if this was the case, I'm sure these celebrities would still be collabing together, but since this incident, they haven't. So it really makes you wonder how Drake truly feels about Madonna. Coming at number 10 today, we have Judd Apatow. Just a month after Jared Carmichael used the Golden Globe stage to mock Tom Cruise for his involvement in the Church of Scientology, Judd got in a few similar jabs while emceeing the Directors Guild of America Awards on February 18th. Judd's jokes began with the topic of Tom's height when he said the special effects in Maverick were so top-notch, I couldn't even see the stack of phone books Tom Cruise sat on to reach the flight controls. Things then took a quick turn when Judd called Tom Cruise a lunatic while reforming to Tom's infamous jumping on the couch segment when he sat down for an interview with Oprah. Before he dove into the juiciest part of his speech when he said, "Tom Tom is not fine. Someone needs to explain to him that there's something called CGI. You're 60, calm down. But every time he does one of these few stunts, it does feel like an ad for Scientology. I mean, is that in the Dianetics? Because there's nothing about jumping off a cliff in the Torah. Judd still wasn't done roasting Tom as he ended his roast with suggesting that Tom wouldn't be jumping off cliffs if he just took antidepressants. Number 9, Brad Pitt. It's not really breaking news when I say Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise aren't exactly fond of each other, as they have been in a very public feud that has been going on for the last 27 years. The two actors who shared the screen in the 1994 film Interview with a Vampire, their differences became evident when Brad said in an interview, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming where I started to really resent him. He's North Pole, I'm South." And if you thought things couldn't get any worse, then Brad even had some harsh words to say about Tom's movies, as in 2009 when both actors starred in World War II dramas. While Brad's film did very well in the box office, Tom couldn't quite achieve the same feature. Brad didn't also shy away from celebrating his arch rival's bitter failure by calling Tom's film a ridiculous movie. So it seems like from the looks of it that it wouldn't really be a stretch to say that the two actors are highly unlikely to be a part of the same project in the future, especially since Brad has this list and Tom Cruise is on his B list, which compiles of a bunch of actors he'll never work with. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's feud with Tom Cruise is actually really confusing, as it seems like the feud is somewhat one-sided. Back in 2019, Justin would take to his Twitter to challenge Tom to a physical battle after he declared that he wanted to challenge Tom Cruise to fight in the octagon. When he said, "Tom, if you don't take this fight, you're scared and you will never live it down. Who's willing to put on the fight?" And if that wasn't bizarre enough, Justin then posted a video of him kicking the cap off of a bottle, saying this could be Tom Cruise's head. While the world was trying to figure out this confusing post, we all then decided to start an investigation into what caused Justin's aggression towards Tom. But whether it was due to religion, personal reasons, or just a grab for attention, it was clear that Justin really wasn't fond of Tom Cruise. And even after he told TMZ he was just playing when it came to his initial tweet, it really makes you wonder if he really was, or does he actually want to challenge Tom in the ring. Number 7, Katie Holmes. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes once made headline after headline for being one of Hollywood's most gorgeous and talked about couples. Their relationship had it all, and at one point they even had a dramatic public declaration of love. And they even showed the world that they just couldn't keep their hands off each other when it came to the red carpet. However, too many fans and media houses were disappointed that the duo filed for divorce just 6 years after being married. While the real reason behind their split is nothing but speculation, it is believed that Tom's horrible treatment of his ex-wife and even their daughter and his involvement with the Church of Scientology is what pushed Katie to get out of the marriage. This claim can even be cemented by reports that claim Tom even tried to impose bizarre rules on Katie, like how she shouldn't be allowed to date another man publicly for 5 years so it wouldn't embarrass him. Given such a hostile and messy end to a long-term relationship, it is a no-brainer that these two stars won't be appearing together on the screen, not now and perhaps not ever. Number 6, John Travolta. John Travolta and Tom Cruise seem to have a lot in common, and it's not just their field of work, as they are both strong believers when it comes to their participation in the Church of Scientology. However, this common link has become the cause of a bitter rift between the two actors, as inside sources believe that John is immensely jealous of Tom's position within the Church of Scientology, and at the fact that Tom is also one of very few members of the religion who has access to David Miscavige. When it comes access to the chief of Scientology, David. Brendan Ty, a former member of the church, once even told the New Idea that Tom was the only celebrity that had a direct link to David, and that it wasn't really a secret that Tom and John despised each other. For an industry that's well known for rivalries to stem from jealousy over snub movie roles and scandalous affairs, Tom and John's feud is definitely an interesting addition. With their strong dislike for each other making headlines, science, it's easy to guess that these two Scientologists would likely keep as far away from each other as possible. Number 5. Mark Wahlberg. Over the years, Mark Wahlberg has been pretty open when it comes to his dislike towards Tom Cruise. So back in 2013, Mark first let his feelings known about Tom after Tom offended Mark to a T. According to reports from that year, Tom claimed that the work he was doing in a new movie at the time was as tough as fighting in Afghanistan. Mark would then come for the controversial actor when he responded to Tom's response by saying, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the, I don't give a F what you did. You don't do what these guys did." He even went on to make things clear that he was referring to fellow actor Tom Cruise. While both stars have never worked together in the past before, it's clear to say after this public showdown, they most likely will not be working in the same room together anytime soon. Number 4. Russell Crowe. Loyalty is everything to some people, even to celebrities. Unfortunately for Tom Cruise, this means that many fellow actors despise him for the way he treated his ex-wives. When Tom filmed the 2018 reboot of The Mummy with Russell Crowe, rumors began to swirl that Russell couldn't deal with his co-star, and that he didn't want to because of what went down with Tom and Nicole Kidman. A source then revealed to the Daily Mail that Russell wasn't the biggest fan when it comes to Cruise after they told the media outlet Russell is a loyal guy and never forgave Tom for the way he treated Nicole. If they stayed friends, he would have felt like he was betraying Nicole, so he froze Tom out of his life completely. As it turns out, Nicole and Russell go way back, so it only seems like he felt obligated to maintain a sense of loyalty towards Nicole. Number 3. Nicole Kidman. So believe it or not, but Katie Holmes wasn't Tom Cruise's first marriage that ended in divorce. As before there was Katie, Tom was actually married to Nicole Kidman for 11 years. Well, that's quite a long time to be married. Nicole has said that it might not have been the best decision for her to make, as at the time she told Daily Mail, "I was so young when I got married. I look back at it and I'm like, what?" Nicole also went on to reveal that she felt pretty lonely during her marriage, and after she ended up winning an Oscar, she had this epiphany. She then went on to tell the outlet that it isn't the answer. "I was holding a gold statue and I was the lowest I've ever been." While the star doesn't hate Tom, Nicole would also note that she never saw their divorce coming. Later in an interview with Du Jour magazine, she also took the time to say, "It took me a very long time to heal. It was a shock to myself. It was a shock to my system." Since Nicole hasn't really said much about her relationship with Tom, it wouldn't really be shocking to know that she just couldn't stand him, as he truly broke her heart. Number 2. Alec Baldwin. So the thing with Tom Cruise is that even when he isn't trying, he still has a tendency to get on people's bad side. He also doesn't even have to be in the same room as someone to annoy them, to the point that they never want to be in the same room as him ever again. For instance, Alec Baldwin has made his feelings clear when it comes to Tom, and they aren't all great. At the 2009 Elle magazine annual Woman in Hollywood dinner, Alec gave a speech about equal pay in Hollywood, and he even cracked a joke about Tom's insane paychecks when he said, "I believe we can balance the scales if Tom would lower his quote by a mere $29 million. I realize this may be a bit unfair since he's not here to defend himself, and I really don't want to put this all on one man. But if I had to, that man would be Tom Cruise. I assure you my salary would not make a difference. My annual salary is the budget of Altoids on one of Tom's movies." With Alec not really being impressed with how much money Tom is being paid, but considering that Tom also threw Alec's daughter a safety net in Scientology, it's clear that these actors will probably never work together. And coming in number 1 today, we have Brooke Shields. Tom is known to never shy away from making a statement, and he certainly didn't shy away when he told Access Hollywood in 2005 that Brooke Shields' use of antidepressants was irresponsible. At the time, Brooke was battling with postpartum depression, and Tom, who was a well-known Scientologist, was brainwashed to think that mind-altering medications, including antidepressants, aren't only damaging to the body, but the controversial church has also made him believe that these type of medications can decrease his awareness and hinder his abilities. While he did make a quick mention to say that Brooke was an incredible actress, that wouldn't save him from receiving backlash from his fans, media, and Brooke herself, as Brooke would respond to Tom's comments by saying, "Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them." The duo previously worked together on the 1981 romance drama Endless Love, but it seems like this would be their first and last film together thanks to to their strong disapproval of each other.
Number 10. Angelina Jolie. Despite both of these women being public advocates for a ton of different charities and organizations, when the idea of them working together came to the table, the last thing that Angie wanted to do was help Miss Winfrey out with anything. According to an insider close to Oprah, Angelina actually refused to help Oprah launch her Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. According to the source, Oprah reached out seeking celebrity sponsorship and public backing for the project, but when she reached out to Angelina, she was met with a swift nah. Oprah assumed that Angelina, of all people, would jump at the chance to represent such an incredible cause, especially considering how much she actually loved Africa. But the no was a devastation, and she would never ask for Angie's help again. A lot of people believe that the hate towards Oprah stems from her decision to publicly side with Jennifer Aniston after she split from Angie's ex Brad Pitt. So she didn't want to help launch a school for girls in another country because Oprah chose sides once. That's mature. Number 9. Jason Momoa. This man is a few things: Aquaman, the enemy of Dom Toretto, and now he's the man speaking out on Oprah and the Maui scandal. Jason Momoa is a gifted actor and overall seems like a good guy from what we can tell. And a few weeks ago he posted a video urging tourists to steer clear of the island. Throughout the video he asks that all those who do not live on the island year-round just stay home, remain there, we don't need you here. Many celebrities began to point out the fact that Oprah had just purchased property in Maui before the fires and she had been making regular visits to the island. It was believed that he was directing his comments directly at Oprah. Now, so far neither Jason nor Oprah have actually commented on each other's positions when it comes to the Maui Fund. Jason has been vocal about his wish to contribute in assisting to the people of the island, but when he speaks about the Maui Fund, he simply refers to Dwayne Johnson, and that's about it. The two of them have paired up online to raise awareness for funds, but so far there is no mention of Oprah's name anywhere. Number 8. Rachel Ray. While Rachel was once Oprah's mentee, being a celebrity chef turned into a publishing and TV giant, in 2007, she was caught using racial slurs in reference to Oprah. Good job, Rachel. According to Hollywood insiders, Rachel had been indulging in a lot of no-no juice and food with one of her colleagues. As the night went on, she became more and more annoying, loud, and aggressive. Rachel apparently called Oprah a few things that I'm honestly not comfortable repeating, even though for some reason I'm allowed to say it on the internet, which is weird. Rachel essentially started berating Oprah for her background and skin color, believing the moment to be private. A rep for Rachel denies that this conversation ever took place. However, another source confirmed the story, adding a few other horrible sentences that I'm again not gonna repeat. Oprah never publicly called Rachel out, but she also never defended the woman, and it seems that Rachel has some kind of a grudge and blames Oprah for every single thing that's ever happened to her that's wrong. Well, it's her fault. Number 7. Chris Pine. Chris Pine is not just the go-to guy when Hollywood wants to start a new franchise. He is also a side character from time to time. Isn't that neat? In 2018, he starred alongside Oprah Winfrey and a slew of other actors in the Disney film Wrinkle in Time. While Chris and Oprah shared a minimal amount of screen time together, it may have been on purpose. Oprah is no stranger to the acting world. She got her big break in The Color Purple, but as time went on, she became better known as Oprah, the lady who gave out free cars and told people to believe in themselves. Chris does not speak all that much about Oprah, especially when it comes to his time on the project, but when he does, it's short and simple. Like, if he goes too far into detail, he may end up saying something that he's gonna regret. Oprah has yet to star in another film since, so maybe Chris Pine has more pull in Hollywood than some people think. Number 6. Tom Cruise. The moment that Tom Cruise almost destroyed Oprah's set with his enthusiasm will go down in history as the most chaotic interview to ever be recorded on this planet. In 2005, Tom got a little excited thanks to his engagement to Katie Holmes. Now, the interview consisted of jumps, flips, Tom trying to snap Oprah's wrists, and finally a Paranormal Activity style moment where Tom is running around the studio just looking for Katie. Following the interview, Tom was mocked relentlessly by both Hollywood and fellow TV hosts and personalities. As the years went by, the hate never really slowed down. The interview was never forgotten about, and Tom became a difficult man to sell in the eyes of Hollywood. He started starring in a lot more movies produced by himself. Now, I'm not saying that the interview is the main reason this guy's career is different, okay? I'm just saying that it's when we started to notice that he was crazy. He became so unhinged in 2005, and he was just chaotic from then on. He's never outright looked at the camera and said, "I hate Oprah," but his hesitancy to return in recent history is proof enough that he was just a little bit too hyped for Oprah on that day. Number 5, Ludacris. Ludacris appeared on Oprah in 2004 to promote his movie Crash. Now, he claimed that Oprah ambushed him with criticism about hip-hop lyrics instead of talking to him about the critically acclaimed movie that he was, there to talk about. Luda has since claimed that Oprah edited the show to make herself look better to the audience. He said during a separate interview that she edited out a lot of his comments while keeping most of hers in. Now, of course, it's her show, but they were doing a segment on racial discrimination, and she basically gave Luda a hard time for being a rapper when he came onto the show as an actor. Luda revealed that his interview was extremely last minute. He didn't even know he was going on that stage until about 24 hours beforehand. Now, following the interview on Oprah, she apparently pulled him aside to a green room where he claims to have been berated by her. According to Oprah, having a rapper on her show just made her feel like she was empowering them, and he said it was like being at someone's house when they didn't want you to be there, which is awkward. At that point, he had already been uncomfortable, but that was just a little cherry on top. Her main concern was, of course, his use of the N-word in lyrics, but he quickly pointed out the hypocrisy of having people like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock on the show who were famous for using that slur in their sets. Oprah's shadiness was on full display following the interview from Luda, and they will probably never work together or see each other ever again. Why would he want to be in the same room as her? That sounds very uncomfortable what he just went through. Number 4, Whoopi Goldberg. In author Kitty Kelly's unauthorized Oprah biography, she claims that Whoopi Goldberg became a persona non grata, aka an unwelcome person to Oprah, after Whoopi was nominated for an Oscar for her role in The Color Purple, and Oprah wasn't. The book noted that following the honor, the comedian never appeared on Oprah's show again and was noticeably shunned from her 2006 Legends Ball. It wasn't until Oprah invited the entire cast of The Color Purple onto the show that the so-called feud they had was addressed. Now, it turns out that Oprah had actually ran into Whoopi at Tyler Perry's party sometime after the 2006 incident. Goldberg confronted Oprah, leading to an adorable but awkward moment between them. She asked Oprah why she was so mad at her, to which Oprah replied, "I thought you were mad at me, I'm not mad at you, what?" They just agreed that they should have had a phone call at some point and squashed everything, but I don't know. We have that little subconscious voice in the back of our head telling us to do stuff for a reason, right, Whoopi? Number 3, Ice Cube. Ice Cube may have gotten his career thanks to his epic music chops, both when he was a solo artist as well as during his time with the NWA. These days, you probably know him as the guy from Ride Along or the captain from 21 Jump Street. Ice Cube started acting in movies in 1991, debuting in the film Boys in the Hood as Doughboy. He continued to act over and over again, starring in movies like Friday, Anaconda, Are We There Yet?, Snakes on a Plane. He really likes animals. His dislike for Oprah comes from the fact that while he has starred in several films, he's become more well known for those. In fact, she's never actually invited him onto the show. She has even asked his co-stars to appear rather than himself on multiple occasions. In 2006, Ice Cube expressed his frustrations, saying that his barbershop co-stars Cedric the Entertainer and Eve were invited onto the show while he was just kind of left on the sidelines. He pointed out how crazy it is that she's had all these people with dark pasts and convictions. Plus, if he wasn't a rags to riches story, who was? He was freaking Ice Cube. If you want to know anything about him, just watch Straight Outta Compton. It's a great movie and his kid plays him. So seriously, it was an incredible film, got massive success, and it was never mentioned on Oprah Winfrey's show. So that sucks. Number 2, 50 Cent. The rapper once referred to Oprah as an Oreo in January of 2006, complaining that the talk show Queen had started out with the views of a black woman but was now catering to the middle-aged white American woman for so long that she became one herself. That is a direct quote from the magazine article. 50 Cent said that. Cent even named his miniature schnauzer Oprah as a dig at the talk show host. During an episode of Oprah's The Next Chapter, Cent was invited onto the show to discuss the situation and to just kind of clear up the air. Oprah visited him at his grandmother's house for the interview, where he explained that his frustrations lied with her lack of hip-hop artists on her show, and like I said, how much she detested the use of the N-word. Now, he claimed that he had seen moments on the show when she would discuss her feelings on the rap culture and everything that was wrong with it, and it felt like a personal attack directly towards him. According to Cent, he called Oprah his enemy in the exchange, and he's never spoken to her ever again. And at number 1, Monique. The beef between comedian and actress Monique and Oprah Winfrey dates back to 2010. Monique won an Oscar for her performance in Precious in 2009. Leading up to the film's premiere, Oprah interviewed Monique's brother, Gerald, who Monique claimed to have been very physical towards her growing up in a really dark way that I'm not going to get into, and I can't. In a since-deleted Periscope video, Monique claimed she gave Winfrey her blessing to do the interview, but was shocked and disgusted when she realized that her parents were asked to be in the audience. In the years that followed, Monique eventually forgave Oprah for creating such an uncomfortable moment for herself and her family. While forgiving Oprah, she continues to say that she would never forgive her parents for the role that they played on the show, in the moment, and of course in the past for not doing anything about the situation that was happening.
Number 10, Florence Pugh. As we know, the Hollywood it girl appears in Olivia Wilde's new film Don't Worry Darling alongside Harry Styles. However, there was reportedly much tension on the set between the two women. Florence reportedly wasn't too happy seeing her director hooking up with Harry, considering the fact that at the time she was still with Jason Sudeikis, whom she is very good friends with. So it makes sense that she wouldn't be too happy seeing the two of them together when Jason was allegedly oblivious to the affair on set and even brought their 2 young children to visit their mother. But what was Harry's role in all of this? Well, not a whole lot, but it's pretty apparent that Florence disapproves of his new romance with Olivia Wilde. During the premiere of Don't Worry Darling at the Venice Film Festival, fans noticed that the actress avoided both Harry and Olivia like the plague. She posed for group shots with the entire cast, but did not get any photos alone with Harry, even though they were both central characters and love interests in the film. Florence also was said to have avoided eye contact with both of them throughout the premiere and seemed to leave the event as soon as possible. So with everything that went down, it's highly unlikely they'll be working together again in the future. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9, Shia LaBeouf. The actor was initially cast as Jack in Don't Worry Darling, but in September of 2020, it was announced that he would be replaced by Harry Styles. Olivia then made some very explosive comments alleging that she fired Shia due to a no a-hole policy that she has while directing. She told Variety, "Shia's process was not conducive to the ethos that I demanded my productions. He has a process that in some ways seems to require a combative energy, and I don't personally believe that is conducive to the best performances. Ultimately, my responsibility is to the production and to the cast to protect them." But Shia was not very happy with this side of the story and decided to publicly expose Olivia. He emailed both the director and Variety to deny that he was fired, instead saying, "You and I both know the reasons for my exit. I quit your film because your actors and I couldn't find time to rehearse." And he proceeded to leak a video of Olivia begging him to stay in the film. Shia seemed to want to set the record straight, but some fans accused him of being bitter and resentful over the fact that Harry ended up replacing him in the film. It sounds like a bit of a reach, but that could be a possibility. Number 8, Zayn Malik. In a moment of honesty, the 29-year-old opened up to US Weekly and revealed the reality of his relationship with Harry, admitting that the two of them barely spoke while they were in One Direction, let alone since. Zayn said, "To be honest, I never really spoke to Harry even when I was in the band, so I didn't really expect that much of a relationship with him, and I haven't had one." Sometime later, possibly in a response to Zayn's comments, Harry appeared on SNL and dragged Zayn during his opening monologue. He said, "I was in a band called One Direction. How crazy would it be if they were here tonight? I love those guys. They're my brothers, Niall, Liam, Louis, and Ringo." If you didn't catch that, he was implying that Zayn was a less important member of the group, as many Beatles fans see Ringo Starr as the least talented and least interesting person in the band. So what was his reaction? Well, a source close to the star told Hollywood Life that Zayn doesn't care what his former band member does or says, and that he'd rather not see his name in a headline with Harry ever again. But the whole thing was hardly a surprise to fans, given that the two of them weren't exactly best friends. They were more like co-workers. Number 7, Mark Wahlberg. This one was one of the most unlikely celebrity feuds in the history of celebrity feuds. In 2014, Mark Wahlberg appeared on Conan and revealed that his daughter's obsession with One Direction infuriated him, so much so that he threatened to beat Harry Styles up. It's pretty clear that the actor was never a fan of the singer to begin with and told Conan that his 2 little girls would rather talk about One Direction than their dad's movies. Quote, "My 4-year-old's going, 'Daddy, I like Harry,' and I'm like, well, I'm gonna punch Harry in the nose when I see him. She pulls out pictures of him and she's hiding pictures in the room, and I pretend I'm ripping them up and I get jealous. But if I see that little prick, he's gonna get it." insinuating that if Harry didn't watch out, he was going to risk getting a black eye or two. Mark also discussed a plan to have One Direction do a song for one of his movies, only to lure them in so that he could basically beat the crap out of them. Quote, "I could say, hey, I really want to meet One Direction, I'm a big fan, maybe you can do the title track for the song, and then I would beat the crap out of them in a video." Of course, it seemed like he was just messing around or being sarcastic, but it was a little odd how long he kept the joke going. Number 6. Liam Payne. Twitter fans ridiculed Liam for airing the dirty laundry of his former 1D bandmates on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. The 29-year-old reflected on the band's highs and lows, as well as the various feuds within the group and their personal problems in recent years. But fans took particular issue with the fact that he said his 2017 debut solo track, Strip That Down, outsold everyone else in the band. In fact, the whole interview came off as a little bit of a humble brag for Liam, and a lot of people were confused how he seemingly thought that he was the most successful member of the band. Liam also claimed that he was the chosen leader of One Direction, and disputed the notion that Harry was a frontman of the group. He insisted that the band was formed around him as a part of a promise that Simon had made to him 2 years prior. He explained that when he auditioned for X Factor the second time, he was thrown into the group, and Simon promised to make it work for him, and allegedly decided that Liam was to be the band's leader. But fans were very skeptical of the claim, and even Lizzo said, "I don't know who lied to that poor boy, but he was not the frontman." So it looks like the question is still up for debate. Number 5. Noel Gallagher. The English singer and songwriter who is a member of the band Oasis has a long history of questioning other artists' musical abilities. But Noel Gallagher made a whole lot of enemies when he decided to trash Harry Styles. In fact, he hated Harry even when he was in One Direction, and decided to go on record calling the band members something that rhymes with rock suckers, and said that they would all be in rehab by the time they're 30. Not only that, but he told the Daily Star that X Factor as an institution has nothing to do with music whatsoever, and that performers and bands that came from the show don't work as hard as real musicians. Quote, "You're not telling me that Harry Styles is currently sitting in a room somewhere writing a song. With any joy, he'll be surrounded by a lot of girls. I can assure you he's not got an acoustic guitar out trying to write a middle 8 for something." Noel also claimed that his cat could have written Harry's debut single Sign of the Times in about 10 minutes. The singer has also trashed Little Mix and said that they were not in the same league as his own band, but clearly he doesn't take into account the size of a fan base either. Number 4. Billy Porter. Not everyone was happy to see Harry Styles gracing the cover of Vogue in 2020 while wearing a dress. In fact, actor and director Billy Porter felt that Harry was just copying him. In an interview with the Sunday Times, Porter slammed Harry's gender expression as performative. Quote, "He doesn't care, he's just doing it because it's the thing to do. This is politics for me, this is my life. I had to fight my entire life to get to the place where I could wear a dress to the Oscars. All he had to do is be white and straight." Porter went on to say, "I changed the whole game. I personally changed the whole game. And that is not ego, that is just fact. I was the first one doing it and now everybody's doing it. I created the conversation, and yet Vogue still put Harry Styles in a dress on their cover for the first time." It's easy to see where Porter is coming from, considering that yes, he has spent years making waves in the gender-fluid fashion world, and famously arrived at the 2019 Oscars in a Christian Siriano blazer dress, which kind of broke the internet at the time. But he also wasn't the first and only celebrity to ever push the envelope of gender binaries, so Harry shouldn't have been the target of his criticism here. Number 3. Taj Jackson. Michael Jackson's nephew was fuming when Rolling Stone UK tweeted out the cover of their November issue, which featured Harry Styles. The singer was pictured rocking a white fur stole and pink sequin shorts while holding a birthday cake with lit candles, and the title reading, "Harry Styles, How the New King of Pop Set the Music World Aflame." It's safe to say that this didn't go over too well with Taj Jackson, who immediately took to the comments to roast the magazine and demand a different title for Harry. He wrote, "There is no new king of pop. You don't own the title, Rolling Stone, and you didn't earn it. My uncle did. Decades of dedication and sacrifice. The title has been retired." The 49-year-old is the eldest child of Michael Jackson's brother Taito, and although he insisted that he wasn't disrespecting Harry, his 180,000 followers seemed to be out for blood and started joining in on the hate train against him. One user wrote, "Harry is like every other pop star, a Michael Jackson wannabe that will never be anywhere near as good or as talented as the real king of pop." Then Taj doubled down on his feelings and wrote, "There is only one king of pop, and no offense intended to Harry Styles, but he's not in the same league or universe as Michael Jackson." Wow. Number 2, Lucius. The American indie pop band did not hold back at all when they accused Harry Styles of not properly crediting them after they collaborated with the pop star on his 2019 song Treat People with Kindness. In an interview with the LA Times, the two lead vocalists, Jess Wolfe and Holly Lasig, said that Harry asked for their vocals on the song because they were already working on another song together at the time. Quote, "We were like, yeah, of course, it's just oohs and ahs, it's not a big deal, and it's a good opportunity for us. But we started singing and we were singing the whole chorus. 2 weeks later, they sent us the track and it was literally us. We started the song, we sing every chorus, just us. We trade off in the bridge, it's us and Harry Styles." The women maintain that Harry didn't even link their band when he put the song on Spotify, which they claimed robbed them of critical exposure that they needed as a relatively unknown band. Quote, "It just hurt. There was an opportunity to spread the love a little bit, which he purports to do all the time, and it could have really helped us." While the situation does sound disheartening, it might not have been something that Harry did knowingly or maliciously. And coming in at number 1, Candace Owens. A lot of people had a lot to say in 2020 when Harry Styles made history as the first male to have a solo cover of Vogue, and just happened to be wearing a dress. To no one's surprise, the controversial conservative commentator did not approve of his clothing choice at all, and so she decided to attack him on Twitter, saying, "There is no society that can survive without strong men. The East knows this. In the West, the steady feminization of our men at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children is not a coincidence. It is an outright attack. Bring back manly men." She caught a lot of backlash for her comments, and people were quick to call her out for being photographed wearing a suit, and flooded her comment section with phrases like, "Bring back feminine women." In response to this, Olivia Wilde called Candace pathetic for basically attacking Harry's gender expression, and conflating wearing a dress with being feminine. Then in response to that tweet, Candace hit back at Olivia, tweeting, "You're single for a reason," referencing her split from longtime partner Jason Sudeikis, which was announced just days earlier. But regardless of how many people stood up for Harry, it's pretty clear that he just doesn't like labels, especially when it comes to gendered fashion.
Number 10. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is probably most famous for his Hall of Fame level career as an NBA superstar, but let's be real, you know him more as the icy hot guy. He's a co-host of TNT's Inside the NBA, he starred in dozens of commercials, and he's even starred in a few movies back in the day like Steel, Blue Chips, and Kazam, where he played a genie released from a magic boombox. If you haven't seen that movie, stop watching this right now and go find it. It's just oh so terrible, I love it. What many may not know, however, is that he was offered the role of a Lifetime by Tom Hanks, but turned him down. He was offered the role of John Coffey in the film The Green Mile, a towering, gentle, and innocent death row prisoner in the 1930s with supernatural gifts. The role was eventually portrayed by Michael Clark Duncan in what has gone on to be one of the best performances of his career. Shaq claimed later on that his refusal was simply due to him not wanting to portray the African-American guy from the Bayou, but he did portray a boombox genie, so I'm not really sure that he made the smartest acting choices back in the day, but yeah, you can decide that. Number 9. Chet Hayes. For those who don't know, Chet Hayes is actually Tom's son. Chet has made a name for himself as one of Hollywood's biggest jerks. He's had some successful roles on shows like Shameless and Empire, and he's had a decent music career as well. However, Chet takes every chance that he can to defy his father and prove just how opposite he is to his dad. Tom's actually thrown his son a bone on several occasions and tried to convince him to appear alongside him in something. It took a long time, but Chet has always been adamant about following in his own footsteps and not in his father's. Chet's brother Colin Hanks has been a mainstream actor for a while himself. You may recognize him from comedy hits like Orange County, The House Bunny, and so many more. Chet wanting to carve his own path makes sense, but he's been going about it in a terrible way. Chet is slammed regularly for his use of racial slurs and accents in songs, and it only seems to be getting more and more problematic, meaning the chances of Tom and his son co-starring in a project together, it's highly unlikely. Number 8. Tim Allen. Okay, yeah, I know that Tim Allen and Tom Hanks were literally Woody and Buzz from Toy Story. Okay, so quit your typing in the comments, but it's not like they're always in the same room recording lines, right? Following the success of the first Toy Story film, Tim and Hanks were asked to return over and over again to voice their iconic animated counterparts, but Tim has apparently been harboring some resentment to his Toy Story co-star. He said in interviews that people always ask him about Woody and not Buzz, and expressed some jealousy towards Tom over over his many Oscar wins. Tom has received 8 Oscars in his lifetime, and Tim has received 0 Oscars in his lifetime and is understandably annoyed because, like, come on, Galaxy Quest totally should have gotten him an Oscar. Quality flick. With the revival of this Toy Story franchise, Tom also began expressing his annoyance at the lack of quality lines delivered by his character. Instead, he was reduced to a funny punching bag. These two may be on the same screen as CGI toys, but behind the scenes they avoid each other as much as possible, even getting Pixar to schedule their recording sessions on alternate days. Number 7. Brad Pitt. In the mid-90s, Tom Hanks began casting a little movie called Apollo 13. The film followed the real-life story of a team of American astronauts on a moon mission in 1970 when their flight goes horribly wrong. Tom had just finished writing the success of his back-to-back feature films Philadelphia and Forrest Gump, and he wanted an all-star lineup for his new project. In the end, he recruited Bill Paxton from Alien 2, Gary Sinise, who played Lieutenant Dan alongside Hank in Forrest Gump, and Footloose star Kevin Bacon. But Kevin's role, though, was initially offered to Brad Pitt, who had been slowly making a name for himself at the time. Pitt ultimately turned down the role as he had just been asked to star alongside Morgan Freeman in the horror mystery thriller Seven. While both films were a massive success, it's sad that Brad never took up Hank's offer, and he has yet to hint at the possibility of them ever working together. Number 6. Amy Poehler. So, fun fact I just learned today, Amy Poehler and Tom Hanks actually dated briefly in the mid-80s, and it looks like they did not end things on a good note. When Amy hosted the Golden Globes in 2014, she made a slight at Tom's expense by pronouncing his name Tam Hanks. Hanks was in attendance and visibly confused. Although it seemed like a one-off joke at the time, that was far from the case. Apparently, Amy holds a lot of resentment towards Hanks still after all these years. When Tom was asked about the incident, he said that he hadn't spoken to Poehler since they broke up. They shared a small apartment in Eagle Rock for about 6 months before Tom met his current wife, Rita. Apparently, Amy didn't like his dog, and she stole some of the good records when they broke up. So that's just harsh. They've both expressed professional respect for each other's careers. Tom made a slew of Hollywood hits, and Poehler had an awesome comedy career, culminating in the creation of the show Parks and Rec, where she portrays Leslie Knope. And if you haven't seen that, check it out. Number 5. Henry Winkler. Henry Winkler, best known for his role as the Fonz on Happy Days, was set to direct Tom in the much-loved buddy cop movie Turner and Hooch. The Fonz had actually fought with Hanks in character on the set of Happy Days for one episode back in the day before collaborating together. It seems like Tom wished the fight was real though. Apparently the two of them didn't get along at all. So much so that a few days into shooting Turner and Hooch, Hanks ordered Winkler to be removed from the set and replaced as director. Imagine having that kind of power. This man displeases me, remove him from my sight. Not only did Tom complain that he was annoying and bad at his job, but upon firing Winkler, the film's producer ripped Henry's contract up in front of his face. Henry has denied that he hates Tom, but come on, not even like a little upset, they ripped up paper in your face. That is hardcore, man. Number 4, Ricky Gervais. If you didn't know, Ricky Gervais, along with Stephen Merchant, were the original creators of the comedy mockumentary The Office. Initially a 6-episode series, it was eventually picked up by American producers and remade into the classic comedy that we all know and love today. In 2011, Ricky was asked to host the Golden Globe ceremony, and the normally funny man ended up coming across as kind of rude. Ricky made several jokes throughout the night that seemed to be aimed at specific celebrities, but they weren't clever enough to actually make people laugh. Tom Hanks was in the audience, and he was visibly confused during the entire show. When it was his turn to take the stage, Tom took the opportunity to ask why he wasn't asked to host the Golden Globes instead of Gervais. Ricky felt the shade and gave Hanks a nasty eye roll. He later defended his hosting gig, claiming that hosting is an entirely different thing than just doing one segment. You're responsible for the flow of the show. He wanted people to have a good time, but be on their toes as well. Something tells me if Hanks ever does ask Ricky to be in a project, he'll be met with the same fiery eye roll. Number 3, Garth Brooks. Unlike a lot of musical artists in recent history, Garth Brooks hasn't done a ton of actual acting, beyond like a few cameos here and there and in his own music videos. According to Billboard though, it isn't for lack of trying. It was reported that Garth's former production partner and de facto talent agent Lisa Sanderson filed a lawsuit against the singer alleging that she lost a ton of money because Garth turned down every single role in every TV show or movie he was offered ever. ever. And there were a lot. Tom Hanks even wanted Garth to be a part of his ensemble cast for the Army epic Saving Private Ryan. He would have starred alongside Hollywood heavyweights like Matt Damon, Vin Diesel, and Edward Burns, among others. But Garth turned him down without a second thought, simply because he would have been part of an ensemble cast and he wasn't going to be the actual lead actor. Hey, no offense, Garth, but you're not better than Matt Damon. Number 2. John Leguizamo. Tom's first run of movies were light-hearted family flicks or rom-coms like Big, Sleepless in Seattle, and A League of Their Own. In 1993, Tom decided to take a turn at the dramatic side of acting when he took on the role of Andrew Beckett in the movie Philadelphia. Beckett is a lawyer dying of AIDS who is grappling with systemic homophobia while suing his former law firm for wrongful termination. This role would gift Tom with his first Oscar win and Antonio Banderas a nomination for his role as Hank's lover in the film. But funnily enough though, that role almost went to the man who would eventually voice Sid the Sloth in the Ice Age movies. John Leguizamo was known for his comedic chops in the early 90s, and he wanted to branch out into film. He was offered the role as Tom Hanks' lover in the project, as Tom was trying to give the young comedian an outlet to work in a more dramatic fashion, like he was trying to do. John turned down the role as he wasn't completely comfortable playing that character. He instead opted to star in the live-action film adaptation of the Super Mario Brothers. Yeah, needless to say, everyone in Philadelphia won Oscars, and John got to play with fungus for 6 months. Good move. And number 1, Dave Chappelle. Okay, argue with me all you want, Dave Chappelle was huge in the 90s. Not only was he slowly building his career as a stand-up comedian, he was also able to land supporting roles in several big budget projects like Robin Hood Men in Tights, The Nutty Professor, and he even took center stage as the leading man of the much-loved hippie comedy Half-Baked. Say it with me, bodegas. Very good. When Tom Hanks was ready to follow up his dramatic turn in Philadelphia with the American history epic Forrest Gump, which won him his second Oscar, Dave Chappelle was on Tom's shortlist to play Forrest's beloved army buddy Benjamin Buford Blue, aka Bubba. In the film, they met in Vietnam, and Bubba sadly loses his life in the process. In his memory, Forrest goes on to name his successful shrimp restaurant Bubba Gump Shrimp. With such a beautifully written friendship and a major role in the film's overall story, Dave would be crazy to refuse the offer, right? Well, yeah, right. Yeah, he was crazy. Dave apparently read the script and turned Hanks down hard. He later said in one of his stand-up shows that they asked him to play Bubba, and they must have given him the wrong script because at the time, he said it was trash. While scripts go through multiple stages of editing, the plot of Forrest Gump on paper was probably not a coherent read. Just like, what do you mean he meets John Kennedy and jogs across the country? Ping pong!
At number 10, we have Rose McGowan. Now, back in October 2017, Rose McGowan slammed James Corden after he made some pretty serious insensitive jokes about a disgraced film producer. When James made the unwise joke during his monologue as the host on the AMFAR Gala Los Angeles, James went on to say, "It was a weird week watching the disgraced film producer be in hot water," and then he went on to ask the audience if any woman in the crowd would watch him take a bath. Rose was not only disgusted with the audience for cheering on the comedian, but she was extremely disappointed with James Corden for making fun of someone who hurt a lot of women. Rose went on to say in a series of tweets where in one she called James Corden a Mother King piglet, and in another one she said, "Hearing the roars and laughs shows exactly what kind of Hollywood you are." James would later come out with an apology and would acknowledge that his joke wasn't right and he was sorry for anyone he offended. However, James should have known better than to shed light on such a hurtful situation. At number 9, we have Halle Berry. Halle Berry is said to be one of the sweetest actors in Hollywood, so it makes you question what James might have done to get on her bad side. With the actress appearing on TBS Drop the Mic show with James, let's just say it got a little heated between the two stars. James would open up the show by mocking the star for her box office flop in the movie Catwoman. Halle then responded by acknowledging Catwoman tanked, but she took Kingsman to the Mother King bank. The two would continue to spit back and forth with each other. With James's jokes being demeaning, Halle was quick to come to the battle to get the crowd to chant her name and won. But this wouldn't be the last of the two to work together. When Halle made an appearance on James's game show Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, The star would then go on to eat an unnamed animal body part to avoid answering a question. Now, if I had to eat some weird body part off an animal, I would probably refuse to work with the star ever again. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Pierce Brosnan. So this feud has had some pretty sour moments. During a game, James' show Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, James recalled a time where Pierce was rude to him at a U2 concert. During the game, James was asked if a celebrity has ever been rude to him at a party. Corden spoke of a time he attended the same U2 concert as Pierce. Now, Pierce was there with friends and they decided to leave halfway through the concert. James went on to note that he and his wife moved into the area that they were in, and Pierce went to push him out of the way when he came back. James went on to say the star didn't even acknowledge James and that he just continued to head back to his area. James then labeled him as the rudest celebrity alive. If someone called me rude after stealing my spot, I probably wouldn't want to work with them either, but at the same time, I certainly wouldn't have pushed them out of the way. Now, Pierce never talked about the incident, so who knows if it was actually true. At number 7, we have Patrick Stewart. Now, in 2010 at the Glamour Awards, James Corden was at the height of his career while he was hosting the event. However, Patrick Stewart was also present at the event, and he was tasked with presenting the category for Film of the Year. When he stepped up to do his role, Patrick would begin to tease the comedian for his body language throughout the event. Patrick would say, "I want to speak to James here." "It's James, isn't it?" James would then walk up to the star and the two had an epic stare down. While the star carried on with his critique, Patrick noted that when the presenters were on stage and the recipients were receiving their awards, James was standing in the back of the stage with his hands in his pockets, looking around like he wished he was anywhere but in the event. Now the two began to spit insults back and forth with each other until James made a pretty insensitive joke about Patrick's age. Well, all I can say is age doesn't define us, and sometimes it's better just to laugh at yourself than to overreact. Number 6, we have Liam Gallagher. Liam Gallagher once called James Corden a knob while stating why he would never join the star on Carpool Karaoke. In an interview with GQ magazine, Liam branded the star as a knob and mistaken him for starring in Gavin and Stacey. Liam was asked if he would ever consider doing Carpool Karaoke, and he refused by saying, "No thank you very much, not a chance mate," with that flat bloke from Kevin and Perry. Liam's girlfriend pointed out that the show he meant to say was BBC's comedy series Gavin and Stacey. Now, James starred in the show in 2007. And that's how he came to stardom. Liam then notes he never watched the show and he doesn't have to watch it in order to know he won't like it. Now, the two did seemingly make up just in time for Liam to play on James Corden's show back in October of 2017. But who knows how long the two will stay on good terms, as Liam once said he likes his potatoes roasted. At number 5, we have Jack Allison. Jack Allison used to write for Jimmy Kimmel Live back in 2010. The writer would then tell a story on Twitter in 2019 about the time he went to a union meeting that James Corden also attended. Jack noted the WGA meeting was only for the late night writers. However, James Corden showed up with none of his staff to advocate a lower pay grade for the writers, which meant James made a special trip to ask a trade union to allow him to decrease the salaries of his employees at the late night show. Jack explained that James wanted to hire writers' assistants and he wanted to give the assistants a chance to be there, and that's why there would be a lower pay grade for them. James would then later say he never wanted to pay the writers less than they deserved. However, Jack would tweet out later to deny the comedian's claims and said, "I said what I said and it was accurate." At number 4, we have Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is known for his ruthless and hilarious comedy pieces. It didn't surprise anyone when we found out the star would take on James Corden on the show Drop the Mic. Now, when the two finally did take the stage, the insults definitely came spewing out and both needed ice for the burns they were about to receive. James took a jab at Kevin's height and even brought out a little white stool to get Kevin to stand on. When it was finally Hart's turn to take the stage, he definitely came in with the heat by telling James that he may be small, but his bank account was big. The star then went on to say, people are nice to his face, but when they get home, he's not the comedian they wanted to see. Let's just say this battle was not a disappointment, and it proves that our height does not define us. At number 3, we have Britney Spears. Britney Spears once said carpool karaoke with James Corden was extremely awkward. And the video shows us it truly was. In an interview, Britney said the show was fun and James was extremely nice. However, she found her overall experience awkward. Britney noted that sometimes she would have to tell the star that she didn't want to hear the song again, and it was cut out of the video. One of the songs she asked him not to play again was, of course, Hit Me Baby One More Time. Britney said he just kept playing them. And then he put on a wig, and Britney felt like she had to go along with it because he was so nice, but she was really embarrassed throughout the whole process. Safe to say you probably won't catch Britney in a car with James again. At number 2, we have Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey almost refused to sing a song on Carpool Karaoke. When the singer showed up for her segment, she said she had no idea she had to sing. Mariah was signed on James's first episode, but there was one catch: she was refusing to sing. James said she came out and said, "I'm not singing today." James, being completely understanding, said he would drive around and they would just have a chat. While struggling to initially secure even a 5th-rate act for the show, James was excited to sign Mariah Carey. So when on the drive, he said to himself, this is carpool karaoke, so without the singing, it wouldn't be the show he wanted. So the star decided to sing to Mariah, so at least it was still on the show. Luckily for James, Mariah would change her mind and would sing along to a number of her greatest hits with the comedian. In the number 1 spot today, we have Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams once walked out of carpool karaoke, and how he did it will definitely leave you laughing. Bryan was invited onto the Best of 80s carpool karaoke segment, which would be in honor of the Back to Future anniversary. Now, James would note during a game of Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts that he didn't think Bryan's management's team told Bryan it was sort of a collaboration with lots of other singers from that time period, because when the star walked in and saw the list of other people and saw he was going to be working with James Corden, he walked out of the building and bolted to his car. Bryan was never heard from or seen from on the set again. He just bolted and was gone, which makes you wonder who was on that list to make him bolt, or was it just James Corden?